in this day blessed by Iris. I see VB already passing down the lore. Let's get this show on the road, boys and girls. Mm. Today, today is going to be one of those days where I'll share alpha, where I'll bring happiness to the people's hearts, and we'll have lots of fun. But, with care, because I can't allow myself to be fired before we can deliver what I have in store for you guys. I see Mike, GM, Ahota, Pelehum, BB, Agent Solace, my friend, Chet Roberts, the number one enemy of the Penguin in the lore of Star Atlas, Neil, my friend, Jitblade, Captain Kine, Thick, Jimian. Yeah, we have only legends here today. Yeah. Guys, I'll do the following. I'll go get some water. I'll finish generating some images and we'll get started. Give me uh, 3 minutes. That's all I need. Even less, 2 minutes. Don't let anyone leave. No one leaves the room because alpha will be delivered. I'm back. I'm back. I have water. I'm moisturized. I'm on my lane. Feeling blessed by Iris. We can start now. An official GM for everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Falcor, my friend, Virtual, Torinder. Yeah, we have a setup of legends today. And yeah, boys, I have been waiting. I have been waiting patiently in Utopia, my headquarters in Galia Expanse, to start talking about C4. And I went to Danny, I spoke to him and told him, Danny, the people want to know, Danny. Like they ask me every day to talk about C4, to give them something. And he told me, Giuseppe, I'll tell you something. You can give them, you can give them informations, but you can't give them specifics. You can't give them details of the plot, but you can give them elements that will make the people happy and understand the purpose of what we are doing in C4. As you guys can see, this might be the hardest task ever given to the Penguin because you guys know how I am with Alpha. When I have authorization, it's always dangerous because I might leak something. I'll try not to. I'll try to interpret Danny's orders the best I can, but I also want to give you guys enough elements to be happy, to leave this place happy with your knowledge, with how things are turning in Star Atlas, and about the direction we are taking on C4 and other releases that will be coming this year. As you guys know, uh, Vito, Vito was demanding me to. Man, I actually have a very good bottle of whiskey here. I'm a column, 15 years old, but I'll save it. I'll save it because I'll drink it with you guys on the day of the release of C4. With that said, let us get properly started. We have a full house today. Oh my god. People are looking forward to C4. I like it. So yeah, without further delay, let me start talking about the Holy Gospel of Galia and the secrets of the things that we are going to explore today. This story, this story that I'm going to tell you, it starts where we are right now in the lore of Star Atlas, which is the results of the events that happened in the Convergence War and previously that you guys have read about a part of it with Team in Core. Then we have the events of the Convergence War. Then we get to Starbased, and then we get to C4. So I'm going to do a brief introduction of everything because maybe we have people here who doesn't know some of those elements. So everyone is in the same page. And then we can go and deep dive on the lore of Star Atlas for C4 that I have been building, that I have been working with, and hopefully that you guys will like it. So, uh, let us start with the facts that happened on the core novel. By the way, a very good disclaimer is that Team is really close to finishing the next volume of core. So, you guys we all have been waiting for it. Core will continue. I have been reading the drafts and I have been like, holy shit. Because finally, some very interesting characters, some characters that people here in this very call have been waiting for to make an appearance, will start joining the plot. And uh, they will start joining the plot. And you guys will see how the things unfold. But to give a very brief summary, in the events of Core, a group of explorers in Galia Expanse managed to find the path to the Cataclysm. Not only that, this group of individuals had also hold the key to enter the Cataclysm. So they find the location and then found a key to enter this very special place in the StarAtlas lore where Iris lives and all the other Tufas broods who are its children also lay with the most rare resources and secrets of StarAtlas galaxy, and especially Genesium, which is a free form of energy. We could say that's the most valuable resource in our entire ecosystem, probably. So this immediately draw attention from everyone in the galaxy. All species, all factions, everyone in Galia Expanse went crazy when they heard about exponential Dionysian nodes being found. And Gion goes, which is the name of the leader of the exploration team that found the Cataclysm and Iris, he goes and he does something that sealed the fate of billions of life forms across the galaxy. He goes, like a good human, and sell the information to every faction in Galia Expanse. And when he does that, every single faction in Galia who have been building up their forces saw the potential to become the strongest player in the galaxy. And what happened is that they build supply lines, supply chains, and send their fleets to the heart of the cataclysm to start mining those veins of Dionysium. This convergence of different actors became what we know today to be as the Convergence War, Because you can imagine what happens when you have gigantic fleets from all over the galaxy converging to a few sectors that hold immense quantity of resources and richness. Chaos, explosion, Noot, everything goes crazy, everything starts exploding, misconceptions, prejudice, everything that's bad starts happening in Galia Expanse. The factions and different species start fighting for control of Iris and the Cataclysm, and shit hits the fan. The war takes proportions that were simply immeasurable. Every sector in Galia is practically ignited by the flames of war. And the faction seems to be in an equilibrium. I can't give you too many details here because this is literally the plot of Core. So you guys will learn the details of how things evolve, the different conflicts, the different players, the characters, etc. I I won't and I shouldn't and I don't want to spoil those secrets for you guys. But what's perfectly fine to say is that shit hits the fan very hard. The problem is that no single faction is able to overcome the others. It's a stalemate, and populations are dying, planets are being sucked dry to drive the machines of war. Immense quantities of lives and resources are spent in the conflict, and the combat just settles when the Sogmian species is able to craft the bosom less than, which is the first Titan that was known to the galaxy. This Titan was so overwhelmingly more powerful than everything else that was in the galaxy that it made everyone think twice before going with the war. I mean, everyone was already tired, everyone was already depleted, and when they see something that can blind, that can shade entire horizons of a world arriving in their star systems, yeah, people were more inclined to talk. Everyone stops the war, they create the Council of Peace because they realized that the next time something like this happens, uh, PG, bro. They imagine that if the next time something like this happens, there probably won't be a galaxy standing to survive. I mean, this time they didn't have Titan ships. The next time they would have even bigger and more deadly tools. And yeah, probably this would be an extinction event level catastrophe to the civilized species of Galia. So they stop the war, and what they do is that they get together and they create a treaty called the Treaty of Peace. And this Treaty of Peace is the foundational document of Galia Expanse. It basically creates the galactic order that we know now. And among other things, the Council of Peace starts to concentrate the most of the fleets of the factions. So let's say something like 80% of the fleets of each one of the factions goes to the Council of Peace. It becomes the ultimate authority to legislate in the galaxy. It becomes the ultimate court to judge people in the factions and to establish a standard of law. The Star Atlas is created, uh, and the galaxy is unified under one political order. The thing is, documents, words, treaties, they don't change reality from one day to another. When the factions stopped the fight among each other, they looked back to their homeworlds, to their sectors, to their civilizations, and said, "Oh my God, we are screwed." So what happened was that to get to Iris, to fuel this enormous war that they were waging, they had colonized a number of sectors in Gaia Expanse. If you guys open the Starbase map right now, you guys will see a few of those starbases. I would say that those are the most relevant points of political power in the medium risk zone, but that's only a fraction of what was the colonization process of the medium risk zone. And I'll do a parenthesis here to tell you guys that when we go to C4, we right now we have something like 51 star sectors, if I'm not mistaken. When we are talking about 1,000 sectors in C4. I'll close the parentheses and come back to my story. So, imagine those sectors. Imagine this sorry, it's 1,000 planets, and I don't know, I'll check this later, but it's something enormous like that. And what happened here is, I'll check. Yeah, Torrent published the image. Yeah, I was correct. Something around 1,000 sectors, from where we have 134 ecosystems and 3,000 planets. You guys can see all of this. So, yes, we have this conjecture, and we suddenly have thousands of star systems that relied on their factions, that relied on their capitals to keep order, keep peace, keep the galaxy moving forward. And one day, those people come to those civilizations and say, "Hooray! Everyone's free! Congratulations! You guys are now masters of your destinies. You guys are now responsible for your fate. GG, good luck, have fun." You guys can imagine what this triggers. Even more chaos. Those sectors, they were pillaged by the factions, they were attacked by their enemy factions, they had their supply chain destroyed, they were broken from the galactic supply chains, and they had to fend for themselves against the pirates, against the minor factions, and etc. It was literally chaos. A few dozen of those managed to prosper a lot, and they become forces in themselves. And some of them are the minor factions that I sometimes share with you guys here in the lore. Organizations like Panemorpha, organizations like the Order of the Light, things like that. But the truth is that most of the people of the medium region got wrecked, and wrecked bad. And they were imprisoned, they were enslaved, they were used by those peoples, and only with much sacrifices and many different hardships they were able to get some degree of stability. But the factions, the main factions, and their safe zones, they start rebuilding. And the first thing that they do is that they get together. Now we have our political order. Let's set the economy in place. So what they do is that they start building the Star Path. The Star Path is a chain of warp gates that pretty much connect the three factions corners of Gaia. This allows them to very quickly move goods and service between them. They now have a very high degree of investments from the Council of Peace that goes hard into infrastructure. The star bases of those systems become very robust. They concentrate investment, entrepreneurship. they start trading informations and knowledge between the factions, and after 100 years, they manage to rebuild their forces, their civilizations, and it starts what we call in Star Atlas Golden Era, or Sage, as you guys are aware about now. And the cool thing about Sage is that for all the people of the factions, for all the people of the safe zone, everything is easy. And this is reflected by to you guys in the very gameplay of Sage. You guys don't need to worry about pirates, you guys don't need to worry about decay. It's a very interesting parallel that we have here, that the game is super easy and their lives is super easy. But the thing is, time passes by, and the generation that lived through the Convergence War.
Dat is in grupo 1. Okay, gracias.
Sorry, Vitor, you want to say something, bro? I think it was
No,
just a
sorry.
yeah, no worries, friend. No worries.
You-
So, what happens here is that where was I? Yeah, it was super easy. The factions, the generation that lived through the Convergence War starts dying. Starts dying or starts leaving the power in the factions. A new generation that never experienced full-scale war events starts rising in power among the factions, and things start to change. I mean, imagine you are a survivor of the Convergence War. You helped your faction rebuild, so you found land. You found the land of your safe zone sectors. So your population was diminished by the war, so there was land for everybody. Everyone had a job. You managed to build your life with high education. You had access to health programs. You literally had a very good standard of living, and you are the consolidated power in the galaxy. The people who are coming, this next generation that was born already in this golden era, they look at that and they say, this is interesting. So what I'm going to do with my life now? All the lands in the safe zone are already occupied. Um, those pricks, those old faction leaders, they believe the Council of Peace is almost a divine thing and want to dispute their standing, their ruling, etc. I want my freedom. I want the power to forge my own destiny. I want to find new lands. I want to find new occupations. I want to go to Iris, and that's forbidden by the council. I want to be the hero of my generation. They had a very easy life. They had a lot of money, and we know what happens when you give rich kids powerful tools. What happens is that they look at the medium risk zone as the place where they can expand their influence with least resistance. Because by the Treaty of Peace, the medium risk zone is outside the faction's jurisdiction. They are free governments. They are autonomous civilizations, and yeah, this is this. They look at that and they say, there is a way for me to profit in this situation. There is the way for me to move in life, to gain power, to gain influence. So what starts happening is that the Council of Peace and the leaderships of the factions start getting pressured internally by their civilizations, new generations. save this information here. We are going to the other side of the spectrum now. We are going to the medium risk zone. The medium risk zone is spent 100 years to get somewhat stable. In the middle of these 100 years, lots, you can imagine the medium risk zone in this period as a feudal galactic empire. Lots of small feuds, lots of small warlords, factions that rule one planet, two planets. Maybe an extraordinary faction managed to unify one sector in the galaxy, like what happened with the Pavo Passage royal family in MRZ-17, the Ulster territory. But mostly, it's those sparse civilizations and etc. The medium risk zone has the best and the worst of Galia Expanse civilization. It has saints, people that dedicate their lives to protecting other people, sacrificing their very lives for that. But they also have people and organizations that play with memories, that create mutants just to discover new ways to make profit, slave traders, and etc. And this whole cauldron of different things is a living ecosystem. And some people in that environment, in the medium risk zone, they see the opportunity of using those guys in the safe zones, and they start pushing the buttons of the Council of Peace. They, they start raiding safe zone worlds. The Jorvik pirates goes unhinged, attacking faction spaces, and etc. So there is also this element of pressure coming from the medium risk zone that says, hey, Council of Peace, you guys, your factions wrecked us for 100 years. Now we are all screwed. And there is those guys attacking us. Do something. Please help us, and etc. etc. So the Council of Peace right now, just to give you guys the lore perspective without going too deep here, because this is part of the plot of the upcoming releases and etc. etc. It is fragmented. There was a very strong union in the beginning. Now in C4, there is still a union, like a majority rule, but it's weaker than it was before during the beginning of the Golden Era. And what this entails, and here is where we start getting back, we start getting to the point where we start talking about C4 and the elements. What's happening now is that the people of the factions, they are coming and they are settling private operations in the medium risk zone. So, for example, you guys are going in the lore, like we are talking about lore right now. You guys with your fleets, you guys are citizens of the safe zone. You guys are citizens of Ustur, Oni, and Mud. And what you guys are doing is you guys are going from your safe zones, from your worlds, and going after opportunities in the medium risk zone. C4, if it was up to me, C4 wouldn't be named C4. It would be called colonizations and pioneers. Because C4 is all about this. Everything in the lore of C4 revolves around this movement where private parties, you guys, start moving to the medium risk zone. Of course, you guys will be able to colonize territories in the safe zone. This happens. But what we are talking about here is about this massive movement from the metropolis to the MRZ. Exactly, PG. This is Portugal all over again. And here I'll start talking about elements of C4, talking about the lore of C4 and etc. But before I do that, I want to know if anyone has any questions or comments about this introduction to our topic of the day. And I managed to precisely reach 30 minutes in this explanation. I'm getting good at this. Any questions? I see people chatting, writing in the chat. So I'll wait for a bit and then I'll start dropping the bombs. I love you too, Santi. I'll drink water, VB. Okay. So answering the question. First of all, Bohemian say imperialism all over again. Yes, but the twist here is that it's not institutional faction imperialism. It is DAC imperialism. So it's a new age of capitalism, but on a galactic level. The safe zone is safe PG. It's protected by the factions. The factions don't get involved with this. I'll talk about this in a little bit. Uh, Chet Roberts is asking, how many players do you think it will take to fill this world? I don't know, but what I do know is that there is a space for development for many people, and players will have to be extremely specialized on their actions. More on that on a minute. How does one get Geonesian abilities? IC already wants the alpha. I mean, first you need to get to Iris, which is very hard. Uh, Neil is sharing the concept of C4. Thorin is being super kind to me. I appreciate it, friend. Falcor said being kind as well. Thank you, guys. And Ahota say, how do we claim territory with the claim stakes? Yes, that's where we are going. All right. So if we don't have any questions, let us start the onboarding on the C4, properly speaking. And what's going to happen, guys? The factions, they are going to stay as countries, under quotes, in their corners, trying to prevent the escalation of the conflicts to an institutional level. The Oni, the Ustros, and the Mud, they don't want an all-out war between them. They know this is chaos, and the Council of Peace is stronger than them, and the Council of Peace would certainly get involved if things scale to this level. In fact, I will try to talk Danny to place fleets from the Council of Peace in the map of C4 to attack players that try to deviate from the Council rules. But the real truth that I'll share with you guys right now about C4 is that C4 is all about players colonizing territory and trying to capture influence on the map of Gallia. So the star bases, they are right now under the influence of the factions. And this will remain in C4, but you guys will be able to expand this influence by attacking star bases and conquering planets. And this has been advertised for a while now. The C4 core component is the first C of C4 is combat. Combat is really, 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 really cool. I have been Jesus. What I can tell you guys is that combat is very strategic in Star Atlas. It is fun, and the way that it works right now uh, makes total sense with the lore. Even if information is public, even if the we don't won't have non-deterministic combats before the beginning of C4. This will come in an update later because we need to start from somewhere, right? But this will be lots of fun, and there are many different elements that allows us to play in the game that will make the combat intelligent. That's the thing. Like you won't be able to steamroll if you are the strongest, most rich player in the world. You'll probably only become a target and get wrecked. Uh, there are elements that influence the combat, and combat in the lore of Star Atlas will be happening between those decks, those private captains that want to extend their influence to the star bases. But what is really cool about C4 is the magnitude in which the universe of Star Atlas grows. And to show you guys some of those, to prove to you guys some of that, I couldn't come here and not share some alpha, right? So I'll share a few things. Those are, Jesus, hold on. I have more. Where I put the others? When I find them, I'll also add them. The first thing that I want to share with you guys is that Galia changes tremendously in what can be found and where things can be found, and in terms of environment and economic complexity. What I've shared with you guys is the definitions. I think I double posted some of them, but we have 8 different types of planets in C4. Each one of those types of planets allows the players to colonize them in different ways. So, for example, there are pieces of infrastructure that can only be applied to gas giants. There are pieces of infrastructure that are specifically created to explore volcanic planets, etc., etc. So we have gas giants, we have terrestrial planets, we have volcanic planets, we have asteroid belts, we have barren planets, we have ice giants, and we have dark planets. Uh, it's I don't know Neo if it's the same, but what I want the real alpha here is that each one of those types of planets is able to has these different type of infrastructures that are tied to them, and they have groups of resources that are associated with their planet types. Before coming here, uh, before coming here, I was checking the spreadsheet of C4 elements, the one that I have to one day tackle and manage to write all the descriptions. And it was a mix of feeling, guys, because when I saw the elements of every single of all the items that we had to prepare for you guys, it's nothing more, nothing less right now of 5,104 elements in the game. So what I'm saying here is that if I start sum planets types, resource types, recipes, tiers, and etc., we have 504 5,104 elements in the game. Yeah, it's a lot of things. It is a lot of elements, and the beauty of it is that this finally allows us to start playing. Oh, you guys want to know more about the dark planets? Hold on, I'll try to find a picture of the dark planets. I found an old one that I had made for the ice giants. Bros, I'm glad it's Santi that's watching here. If it was uh, someone else, I would probably fire it. Where did I put the dark planets? Never mind. Yes, exactly. I think now it's a very good time for disclaimers. First off, nothing that I'm sharing here is necessarily going to make it to the final version of the game. Second, things might change. So anything that I share here might change or come in a different way. And third, I don't remember what the third is, but the first rule of the lore keepers, as Captain Klein saying, stay in the lore keepers. Just to be safe, just to be safe, this is this is here. This is AI art, by the way. I just did those cards to make it easier to show you guys. I When this is actually going to be implemented in the game, we'll have our awesome artists doing all the art for every single one of them. And but yeah, I started by showing the planets because this is just the tip of the iceberg that is the C4. So as you guys know, right now in C4 we uh, we are always mining on star bases, basically, right? We just go to the star base, we start mining, and in we get one resource in in that planet. This changes radically on C4. I won't give you the mechanics, but I'll give you the lore, and maybe if you are smart enough, you can start figuring out how this will play out. But in C4, when the coloniers they go to a planet, they deploy their claim stakes, they start uh, developing land, they start adding constructions, they start improving their star bases, they start opening up those planets and managing to reach different resources. So a single planet may have many different resources. And the way that this works, that's you guys, let's say that the infrastructure, construction, and overall creation of supply chains is a very important aspect of the galactic order in C4. Another element that we can talk about here is just to punctuate, because I'm not able to give you guys too much alpha here, but council ranks, the XP that you guys have been harvesting diligently in Sage, this will be super important for your council rank starts in the C4 element. And I can say that being an experienced captain will pay off. It's going to be interesting. And and, and we can jump right into talking about crafting, infrastructure, colonization, and etc. I think I read a few a few questions, but I lost them. If anyone has any questions up to now, please write on the chat. I'll try to answer them. I'm drinking some water meanwhile. Man, I can't find the Dark Planets description. When C4 is coming? That's not a large question. Uh, yeah, one thing I'll piggyback on VB's question and talk about a little bit more about the lore of the economy in C4. As I previously said, Star Atlas Golden Era, Sage, Starbased, everything is easy right now, right? You can see that we have players in game that managed to create every single gameplay loop. Like they can literally play, uh, they can literally play every gameplay loop, and this makes the economy. I mean, the economy of Sage works. Don't get me wrong, but it makes the economy easy. Like the supply chain gets somewhat. It's feasible to do everything in the game with money in Starbase. This changes radically in C4 because, as I said, we have thousands and thousands of structures. We have council ranks that further players' specializations. We'll have elements that I can't talk about that makes the that makes the game more dynamic. For example, crew members, they will be used in a variety of new ways. And here, I'm not only talking about restricted to crafting, they will be used to they will be used to man claim stakes and to do other activities in the game as well. And the element of combat drives everything to be more uh, hard risk. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, since the doors of combat and the necessity of construction of infrastructure, the risk of getting your infrastructure destroyed, because this is also something important. If you lose the star base, all your claim stakes are evicted from that sector in the galaxy. You have, as we showed in the beginning, we have nearly 1,000 star systems everywhere. So there's no one that can be everywhere. And if they try to be everywhere, they will be very, very, very uh, inefficient in that. Parallel to that, and this is something that's not confirmed, at least in the beginning, I want to add more lore elements to move and shake the things of C4. And what I mean by that, I mean that you guys can expect, not necessarily expect, but it is possible that we add in the future events in game that will change how some logics work midway, or it will trigger events that will affect gameplay and etc. So, for example, there could be a point in the lore where we set a faction-wide objective. For example, the Usturs, all the Usturs will get a collective mission to mine in a given sector. If the Usturs manage to succeed in that mission, this will trigger an event that will unlock a new civilization in their territory. For example, this is just an example of something like that. Or will announce that the oracles of Iris are seeing a major storm coming from Iris. And when that happens, it will destroy ships that are outside star bases and things like that. So I'm just giving you very rough examples, but this is the logic of things that we eventually want to add to the board of C4 that will give different elements to shake the world and logics of how things play out. Another extremely cool thing that uh, that we'll have for C4 is the raw materials and ingredients. Like right now, we have, as I told you guys, we have like 5,000 elements. A good chunk of it are new resources. And each one of those new resources, they will have utility, they will be used on maybe even different industries. So for example, let me just get one element here to give as an example. We'll have uh, basalt. Basalt is a common mineral that can be only found in terrestrial planets. It is found across the three factions' general territory, and it's used uh, on many recipes. Let me see here. I mean, first of all, to extract basalt, you need an extractor that is adapted to doing that. Let's see the recipes that use basalt. All the extractors, all constructions will have tiers. And yeah, you can craft, I can't say this, but you can craft some cool stuff with basalt. Like many different things will use basalt. So the miners' careers get a boost. The merchants in the game of Star Atlas can finally they will finally be necessary to move all this cargo around, to reunite resources, to drive colonization to certain planets. And the whole game becomes more strategic because you guys will have a chat to talk with your fellow faction members And you guys will be building the borders and directing the colonization efforts of your faction. For example, if all Ulsters decides to go to the south side of the map, the star bases and territories on the northern side that frontiers with Yoni, they will be weak and susceptible of being conquered by the Onis. So yeah, the ecosystem evolves in a way that it brings tons of elements, it brings tons of depth to the careers that we have. It creates new careers in some sense, and the whole the whole universe of Star Atlas will feel the effects of C4. The lore, especially, it will be moved by the events of C4. You guys will see the Council of Peace appearing more, characters in the factions, rogue factions in the game will start appearing, like Ecos, Jorvik, and etc. Uh, so yeah, we have many surprises for you guys. Uh, the lore will expand exponentially, and I'm super excited. I am super excited. I can't wait until you guys get your hands on C4 because this will change everything. As I think I said this before, this is the leap that we had from escape velocity to Sage is much, 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 much smaller than the leap that we have now. Like, you guys will feel responsible for your faction as a whole in the game. It's going to be super interesting. I'm really looking forward to see how things will play out, how players will adapt to this new world that we are creating. And yeah, I think I have said most of the things that I wanted to say for today. And we can use those last minutes to answer questions. If you guys have any specific ones, I'll try to answer them without giving away too much. The when, the when. Star bases are the heart of C4 to some extent because there is a synergy. I can't go too deep on that, but there's a synergy between the planet's colonizations and the star base that governs the sector, you know? Uh, BB is asking about Alpha and something that I can talk about. No Bohemian. I mean, maybe, who knows? PG, yes, there are resources that are faction exclusive. Yes. And what else? I think I already spoke a lot. I don't know, Santi. You there, bro? Do you think I'll be fired? Chip crafting. Ah, I can say that crafting is a huge component of C4. That's all I can say. Santi, unmuted. Santi,
Just say, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, bro.
I'm playing some Surge as I listen to you,
Oh,
but bro, you've been spilling the beans. The real
bro.
beans.
Santi,
Guys,
bro.
he did not keep it steady. Let me be clear with that. He did not keep it steady at all.
Oh,
And if
Santi,
you
bro.
decode most of the things that he said, dude, there was a lot here, for sure.
Thank you, friend. I don't know if I feel good or bad about this comment, but yeah, guys, let's not talk about the lore keepers outside of the lore keepers.
Do not, for sure.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but yeah, guys, I hope this was a good episode. It's our number 10, which is super cool. And I hope I was able to share some light on the events that are going to unfold in the near future. I'm so happy that I got approval to share some stuff with you guys. And I must say that I'm super happy. We had 40 people at some point. This is crazy. Like this shows how much passion goes to Star Atlas and the lore as a whole. And I really hope that I'm able to provide you guys with cool stuff and content that you guys deserve. Thank you very much. Now I need to go back because I need to write a lot of things that I just spoke about, so I need to get them done. Otherwise, we won't be able to launch C4. So yeah, prepare, guys. If I can give you one piece of advice, is that C4 is going to be very different. So whatever you guys can do to prepare for this next phase, please do. Get XP playing Sage or prepare your fleets, recruit for your guilds because it's going to be massive. I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you guys. I love you all. Have a very good rest of your day and we'll see each other in Galia Gaming Nights this Friday, tomorrow. See you guys. Bye bye.